be showing you an aquarium style root beer float design that has the A&W logo on the front of it, and inside for the aquarium element I have brown glitter, which kind of just floats around and gives you the vibe of liquid floating inside of the root beer float. And then there's some ice cream on top of it. I hope you guys love this one as much as I do. I remember, so I haven't had a root beer float in a couple years, and I haven't drank soda in a long time, but all of a sudden I had this craving for a root beer float, so I did have one, like I said, a couple years ago, and I realized I don't need them. So, but I love the idea of them. They're just one of those iconic summer things that just make you feel like it's begun to get warm outside. So I hope you love this, like I said, as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
So we're going to begin with an overlay of a mauve type glitter. So this one in the background, it's just a really pretty, and I don't even know why, but it kind of gives you, just the way the glitter is, it makes me feel like it's carbonated. It probably sounds really weird, but it just gives me that kind of like carbonated feeling. So then I'm going to encapsulate the nail with a layer of clear acrylic to make sure that this is really, really strong. Plus that glitter I used in the background would definitely get a little bit gray looking and scratchy looking if I filed right on top of it. So that little bit of clear acrylic is also a protection layer. Then file the nail into shape with my e-file. And now we're going to start sculpting our mug with some clear acrylic around a smoothie straw. So we're going to sculpt approximately halfway around the straw so that we're going to end up having a flat back on our mug instead of having it be completely cylindrical, because we don't want it to stick that far up off of the nail. You want it to be a little bit flatter against the nail. So then just kind of pat it on the sides, get it as straight as you can. But once it does cure and you can pop it off the straw, then you're going to want to file it with a hand file to make sure that the sides are totally straight. So then on a nail form backing, we're going to be sculpting a rectangle. This is going to be for the back of our mug, like I said, because it isn't completely a circle. So just sculpt a pretty big, flat, rectangular surface, press your mug into it, and then use the tip of your nail or of your sculpting brush to clean up the extra acrylic. If you don't want to use your brush for this, it's not the nicest thing to do to your brush, then you can also just let it cure and then file away that extra acrylic later. Since it is so thin, it files fairly effortlessly. But then once that's done, you can peel it off. Then you're going to sculpt a half circle with more clear acrylic. Again, on your nail form backing, set your mug into that and then clean it up with your brush or not, whichever you prefer. And then still using clear acrylic and still on a nail form backing, we're going to be sculpting the handle of our mug. So the handle of a classic A&W mug is very square looking. So it's, instead of being circular or, like a half circle, like I would typically think of a handle being, it's a lot more squared off on the edges. But then glue that to the side of your mug. And after it's glued into place, then we can pour some brown glitter into the mug. Just pour some glitter in there. As you can see, don't overdo it. That's one thing that I seem to do a lot with my aquariums is I overfill them and then there's no room for the glitter to even move around in there. So try to avoid doing that. But then with some white acrylic, we're going to be placing a bead right on the top of the mug, and it is going to sink into the mug a little bit so you can see it through the clear. Pull some of it down like it's dripping. But then before that acrylic completely sets up, poke a hole with a piece of wire. Fill a syringe with some water or some baby oil and then squirt that into your mug to fill it up with water or with whatever liquid is you're using. I am using water, but whatever you want to use, and then fill in that little hole with some more of your white acrylic, and then go through and you're going to want to just add a couple more scoops of ice cream on top of the mug. So grab another bead of white acrylic, make sure it is on the drier side so it's not too wet where it's going to kind of melt down. You want them to stay nice and big on the top of the mug. And then after you have those two done, I like to just take a dotting tool and sort of poke at them a little bit, because the very bottom of a scoop of ice cream tends to have a rougher texture to it. So by doing that with your dotting tool, it looks a lot more realistic. So now we can glue our mug down to the nail and then hold it in place just for a couple seconds for that glue to grab, and then take some clear acrylic and reinforce behind it to make sure that it is really strong and it's going to stay attached to the nail, because we don't want it to fall down. And then after you have that clear acrylic behind it, you can also take the time, and if you didn't do this before, you can reinforce the handle to the mug as well. So if you didn't do that, you just glued it on before, I would take some clear acrylic at this point and just make sure it is attached. So now after we have that, we can begin painting on our little logo. And I am so sorry that I am off camera for this. The first step for painting the logo is going to be doing just a large white oval across the front of the mug. And if you didn't want it to be A&W specifically, if you just want it to be more of a generic root beer float, then you could certainly skip this logo painting process. So the next step is going to be painting a C shape with red acrylic paint. that is about, I would say it's about halfway across the oval. And then after you have the C shape done, then you're going to do the other side with brown paint. So you're going to try to match it up so it kind of goes from one right to the other one. And if you mess this part up in some way, shape, or form, you can go back to your white acrylic paint and clean up any little edges if you need to. And then you're going to want to paint A and then a W with some more brown paint. If these letters happen to go across your red or your brown lines that are part of the outline, that is fine. You'll see what we're going to do with that in just a minute anyway, so don't worry if that's the case. In fact, the logo does go into those red and brown areas of the outside. So it doesn't matter if they kind of extend past that a bit. So then after you have that, you're going to take white paint and you're going to outline them wherever they do go into that. And you're also going to add a little division between the red and the brown of the outlines. I did that first. But after that, you can just go through and clean it all up if you need to, fix something here or there, and then add those little outlines, and then add kind of a bigger gap in between the A and the W for where the and symbol is going to be. So then do your ampersands in the middle of that with red paint. And now just to add some glitz and glam to this design, I'm going to be doing a little bit of some jewelry gel right along the upper area near the proximal fold, and then applying some top coat, some matte gel top coat over the entire background of the nail, and then pressing some brown tone crystals into that jewelry gel. So I have some that are a little bit more golden and some that are a little bit more brown, but just kind of an earthy tone little crystal cluster right along the top. Use different sizes of them to kind of give it some variety and just keep it interesting. So after you have all of those pressed into place and you're happy with their placement, then you can go ahead and cure this nail so that they stay exactly where they're supposed to be. And then apply some gel sealer over the mug. So that's going to be over the front of the mug and over the handle, and cure that. And then after that's cured, this is all done. I love this design so much. I love the little A and W logo. Anytime I get to paint a logo, I'm a happy camper because it's just one of my absolute favorite things to do. I hope you guys love this design as much as I do. And here is a Melody Minutes.
Hey, I'm Dad's baby.
Who's Katie?
That's it.
The skeleton is me?
Yeah.
I look like the skeleton.
That's Katie, I guess.
Oh, goodness gracious. Can we try that again? Okay. You gonna say hi?
Hi, Daddy.
Just hi. Just hi.
Okay.
She gets so goofy. Sometimes she gets a silly hair and she just goes a little crazy. So that was one of our little outtakes. I hope you guys love this design, and I'll see you next time. Bye.